I'm glad you will stay on. Now, junior doctors at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital have suspended their services because they say management does not care about their welfare. In a letter to the CEO of the hospital, the junior house officers indicated they have been working without appointment letters, medical examination for fitness, laboratory codes and staff ID cards for the past 3 months. Well, my colleague Hannah Adame has been at the hospital since morning. She's joined me over the telephone with the very latest on this issue. Hello, Hannah.
Hi, Camille.
Now, what more can you tell us about this strike?
Yes, Camille, I just bumped into the meeting that was being held by management of the hospital and the junior doctors. And as they came out, we realized that they were not too happy. And so when I inquired, I was told there was a deadlock. Those that were present at the meeting included executives of the Ghana Medical Association, the Medical and Dental Council, the CEO of Korle Bu, and other departmental heads at Korle Bu here. And this is according to our sources. The junior doctors at the meeting insisted on having all their concerns addressed. And we know that these concerns are the appointment letters, which as of now they do have, but they have not gone through the medical examination for the fitness. They don't have their laboratory codes. They don't have their ID cards and the feeding. And they are saying that it's becoming embarrassing for them. For 5 weeks now, since they've been here, sometimes when they are entering some departments, they are questioned as to who they are, even though their assistants are assisting in keeping patients here.
How is their absence? How is their absence affecting work?
Well, it's not too, I wouldn't say it's a major problem here, because we have been to a lot of the units and the resident doctors have taken over. The only problem is that the resident doctors are doing double jobs. And so they are not giving, well, we can't say they're not giving up their best, but then they are working double as to what they would have done. And so it's taking a toll on them. But back to the meeting that was held with the management, because there was a deadlock, management has decided that they are going to sit, talk, discuss what the junior doctors are talking about, and come back again at 3 with a response. And
Very well.
when I spoke to the executive...
Now, let me just go over. We have the president of the junior doctors at Korle Bu. He's joined our conversation. Muhammad Oswald, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Very well. Your meeting with management ended in a deadlock. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, I mean... issues came up which were, I mean, the points we raised in our letter that we wrote were addressed point by point, and we couldn't really conclude on what is going to happen with the feeding aspect, which is the major thing we are requesting for now. So, for now, we don't have anything conclusive yet. Management is saying that we are going back to have a short meeting, and then they'll get back to meet us at 3 p.m. And then we will see if their position will change.
How important are these demands you're making to your work?
You see, when you consider the house officer as we are, your work is in such a way that you don't really get the luxury of time to say going to search for food and all. And so what has been the existing thing is that the house officers have a place in the canteen and the hospital premises where they go to their food. Breakfast and lunch is provided. And this is very important to keep us in focus, so that you wouldn't be thinking about where to go and eat and what to go and eat. Because if the food is not there, you'd have to walk somewhere, go and search for food. And then maybe you might get that there's a queue, which you cannot bypass because it's a normal thing that you have to do.
Very well. Now, you also make a number of other demands from management of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital.
No.
Right now,
the thing is that the preamble, or what we started with, is that we've been stating that we actually started work without appointment letter, without a medical examination, without our ID card, and we are not being fed. We don't have our white coats we wear as a protective garment.
And so essentially those are the other demands you want.
Let me finish. We said we started work without that, but notwithstanding, we have dedicated ourselves to the work and we are working hard. So the main issue that we want to be addressed now is the feeding. We want to get what we knew was the existing thing before we came to Kolebu to come and start work, that there is breakfast and lunch for hospitals. That is what we are asking for. But as we speak now, management is going back to have a meeting and then they will get back to us with whatever package they think they have for us.
So how long do you intend to withdraw your services over lunch and breakfast?
For now, we've spoken to management. We are still discussing on this issue. So at 3 p.m. when we go back to meet them, we hope that a positive thing is out, and then we will just return to work. We said categorically that we are not saying we want to take Kolebu. We are ready to work. But you see, we can't continue the work without the food. You have to be in the right state of mind. If you are hungry and you are by the patient, you can be a dangerous person to the patient. So
Mr. Oswald, I'm grateful for your time.
Okay.
Hannah, you were telling us that really the effect of their absence is not being felt by the patient. Hello, Hannah. Well, I think we lost Hannah there, but we can stay within the issues around the hospital. The director of pharmacy at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital and 3 others have been sacked with immediate effect for gross incompetence and dereliction of duty. According to a statement issued by the board and management of the hospital, the 4 have been found culpable in the misappropriation of 946,574 cedis being revenue for the 24-hour pharmacy. The statement further said a forensic audit commissioned by the Ministry of Health reveals the wrongdoings of the director, principal pharmacist, pharmacy accountant and store assistant of the pharmacy at the hospital. The board says its action is without prejudice to the ongoing criminal investigations into the missing funds by the Economic and Organized Crime Organization. Will stay in the health sector, and this time the advisory board of the Nursing and Midwifery Training College at Dunkwa in the Central Region is determined to punish trainees for what it calls insubordination on the part of the students. More than 700 of them bused themselves from Dunkwa to Accra last month to demand unpaid allowances dating far back as August 2012. The health minister met with the students who camped at the Independence Square and promised that their concerns would be addressed. However, their actions have angered the board, which is demanding an apology from the trainees for bringing the institution into disrepute.
Apart from the official apology, the advisory board wants the student to sign a bond to be of good behavior and also start a 2-week internal suspension with hard labor. A letter dated June 17 and signed by board chairman Nana Ade Jamra said the 2nd and 3rd year trainees broke school rules by traveling to Accra without permission. The letter further described the students' action as gross indiscipline and insubordination. Though the date and time for meeting the first 2 sanctions expired this afternoon, one of the trainees who got the letter says school authorities would have to summon his parents before he considers the sanctions.
We haven't spoken to the student body yet on this new development. Some of them might have heard it, but the gospel truth is that the letter was directed to only 3 of it. Me, myself, I'm Prince Stanford, and Akwasi, I'm concerned. It's like after we came from Accra, the administration have been calling us. We've had series of meetings with them. And it's like all the time when we meet, it's exchange of words, we are trying to interview us see the people who are behind us in doing all these things, where we had our finances and those kind of stuff. All of the students, we contributed 50 cedis each that we used in hiring those buses we came to Accra with. All students were involved. We also consulted our parents. Where did we get the money to pay? It's our parents who financed us. So I've called home, I've informed my parents, and they will be coming to find what have I done to deserve the letter.
School authorities were not immediately available for comment.
Now, residents of Kumasi are upbeat about Ghana's biggest ultra-modern recreational facility built to be opened in the Garden City. The facility will be called Sorachi Park. President Mahama and the Asantehene Otumfuo II will jointly inaugurate this facility. The 42,000 square meter recreational facility comes with an acoustic dancing fountain, a 6 square meter multimedia controlled fountain, among others. Kumasi Mayor Kojobunsu says it's the first of its kind in the sub-Saharan region. Armani Rastas Doncosta has joined us over the telephone with more. I will bring you that story when we raise the Rastas Asari Donko over the telephone. Now, a technical advisor to the Ministry of Finance has endorsed plans to have the Electricity Company of Ghana partner a private institution to help transform it into a more efficient utility. According to Dr. Kofi Asamoah, ECG would need about $400 million a year to bring the company to an appreciable international standard. He was speaking to Joy News after a stakeholders meeting in Cape Coast on the need for government to cede part of ECG to a private partner.
Government has suggested that a private partnership for the Electricity Company of Ghana will attract more income inflows to be able to tackle the root cause of the current electricity challenges. Dr. Kofi Ba believes the current problems consist of generation and transmission, which he said is not ending anytime soon. The stakeholders meeting across the country is to solicit ideas on the way forward to Ghana's electricity problem. He was emphatic that ECG is not for sale as compared to Ghana Telecom, which was given for outright sale. He explained what they seek to do is allow private partnership with a concessionaire who has the financial capacity to turn the company around and help it perform better.
The criteria we are going to use to select the potential concessionaire is somebody who has the technical expertise. So there will be technology transfer for Ghanaians to be able to run the distribution sector. 2, we need somebody with a company with financial muscle. So that they can do the necessary investment. And then more critically, we need a company that has a track record of running the distribution sector. So it's going to be an open, transparent, international competitive bidding.
Meanwhile, an ICT director at the Electricity Company of Ghana, Ronald Kweku Bwedi, says the root cause of the erratic power supply is because the Akosombo is totally dry.
Our major problem today is that Akosombo is dry. Therefore, we are not getting enough supply from Akosombo as we used to have. Because of that, it has affected the total capacity that we can supply. In addition, we don't have any reserve that we can utilize. And because of that, we have to shed load so that everybody can get some power. Now, the situation is that for us to be able to address the problem, we need to increase the generation capacity that we have, so that at any stage when one system or the other collapses, we know that we have a reserve that we can always fall on. But today, as we have,
Ghana has suffered intense power crisis in recent times, though reforms to boost the sector started in the late 1980s.
Effective Monday, June 22, be prepared to pay more for that church or taxi ride. This is because the GPRTU has announced a 15% increase in transport fares following a meeting with stakeholders. The revision was announced in Accra yesterday after this meeting between the executives of road transport organizations and officials of the Ministry of Transport. Subsequently, commercial drivers Joy News has been speaking to express mixed reactions about the directive.
Our insurance and our spare parts, all is up. So if they increase the fare to us, I think it's normal.
We feel sad. So they have to decrease the fares for us.
Increment in it to me, you know, a high, because me a passenger, me foka.
For this increment is really a bother. It's not a good thing for us. The government should really step in and do some adjustment about it. Because when I go to park my vehicle, I also pick a transport to my house, to my hometown, and so I also feel the increment. Government should do something about this increment. It's not really good for us.
Increment in it and come there. Mr. Bine is on Tisuma and Mummy better.
Anytime when they increase the petrol, they don't increase our own. It's worries very too much because me too. When they increase the petrol, they have to increase our. They put something in our own. But you see, 2 years now they increase all those things. We are working all right. We don't get nothing. But if you increase, then you put small thing in our own because transport business is very tight.
The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources says the ministry has a new strategy to fight galamsey. He says government has set up district committees across the country and is awaiting the amendment of the law to allow seizure of galamsey equipment upon arrest. Well, I'll tell you more about that story when I come back. Don't go away. Well, thank you very much for staying here. We'll make a stop in Sodom and Gomorrah, and residents of this community are asking government to relocate them before demolishing their structures in their community. This follows an announcement by the AMA. It would eject occupants of Sodom and Gomorrah to enable it bring down structures in the area.
The Accra Metropolitan Assembly has indicated that in the next coming days they will demolish structures here at Sodom and Gomorrah. This will not be the first time we've heard this particular announcement being made. The question is, have the people here been given the prior notice, and what are their options moving forward? You can speak to the people who live here and how they are preparing to leave this area. You can speak to Majid now. Majid, good morning to you. Tell me, you were telling me earlier today that you had an announcement earlier this week that you were supposed to leave this area. Exactly what happened?
Okay, exactly. We just live here and they came, they give a report that they came to the knock here.
Who came?
Okay, I don't know the person name, but the AME people around them. So because they came 4 days today, they came that they come to this one. But because when they came, everybody make ready to pack in things, taking clothes. So some people are ready to take it. If they came, everybody is going away. Because they don't want to get place to stay. We need the place to give us to stay. We don't have any place to go. That's why if they come and stack up, we don't get anywhere to go.
You know, for some and then never had no. Moyanya Huntiesa. The Bena Munyantiano. No, almost a day.
Almost one baby, see, my. So yes, I was in a dozen. I ain't packet to an hour. A dozen cry, intimate kayon.
Maybe 200,000.
A borokra,
1 million.
A bed borokra. A bed borokra.
It is a more day. I am a first Mobeko.
Almost my baby crying and what I say. Mama, I be there near Patinase.
That's all Mamma Musway.
Oh, my said, I'm very hard and baby a call. I say better now.
I didn't know if he said Emrinia Makase, oh, you be Mafia, Sodom and Gomorrah for. I didn't know to me, you move here.
No, Mokase, a dibon any idea. No one can use you some first one because I'm being a fear. No one see a dibon. Yama Basabasa, Yatia say a pacho until the one was okay. So they are so many hanit. Until the Omo can Yatia, but for the Somon Pamiano, for some Besson Pioneer and Tias.
Let's go to Parliament now. The Minister of Roads and Transport is expected on the floor today to provide answers to some pertinent questions on the country's roads. This is among several other matters to be looked at on the floor of Parliament. My colleague Emmanuel is there and he's joined us with the very latest from there. Hello, Emmanuel.
Hello, Kemini.
Well, has the minister arrived?
Yeah, he has arrived. He started his answering of the questions, and then he had to sit down again because the Talensi MP came in. But one of the questions he was answering was from the member of Parliament for Fabre is Kofi Frimpong, who is on his way out of Parliament. And the question was about some road construction in his constituency, which he said is unmotorable. So from what he's saying that from the minister's response, he's saying that the road will be there is an engineering studies that is expected to be taken by the fourth quarter of 2015, and that is what is going on. And based on the studies, the results of the studies, that will inform the decision that will be taken on that particular road project.
Very well. In other words, we expected him to come back after the conversation about the Talensi seats. But what has the House been saying about the Talensi seat?
Well, what I can tell you, what I can report to you right now is that Robert Bosori is in the House and he's delivering a statement to the floor. And from all that he's saying, he's just expressing his gratitude to Parliament. And one of the major statements he made that got the House roaring a bit was when he asked the House to expedite action on the chieftaincy bill so that it will help him do his work as a paramount chief of his area. So this is what is happening. He's still on the floor of Parliament trying to answer trying to make his statement on what he's saying. But he's really grateful. He's expressed his gratitude. And then he also saying that he will be a father for all the members of Parliament in his traditional area. So that is what is going on here.
Now, what other issues are we expecting Parliament to look at today?
Well, today the minister's questions is what is dominant on the other paper, I will say. But there are other things, other matters that will be arising from next week going.
Very well.
Yes,
Emmanuel, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. Emmanuel Ante joined us from Parliament, where the Minister of Transport has been answering questions on the country's roads. Now, there's business next. Don't go away. Well, thank you very much for staying on. This is the business segment, and it has emerged in Trade Ministry documents intercepted by Joy News that government has asked destination inspection companies to contribute towards repaying a judgment debt in exchange for contracts. A letter signed by the Trade Minister asks the DICs with the capacity to contribute $35 million each towards repaying the 197 million cedis judgment debt awarded Bank Switch. Head of Joy News' political desk, Evans Mensah, has been explaining how we got here and why the DICs can help.
Well, Switch was contracted by the government sometime in 2007 to engage in some sort of executed contract within the general area of the ports, and that contract was later terminated. And they thought that the contract termination was done illegally, for which reason they then took us to the court. The court at The Hague, and they subsequently won that case, and they won this judgment debt of 197 million cedis. So essentially that was the background to it. It was a simple case of a contract wrongly terminated, The company that felt aggrieved had to take us to the International Court of Arbitration at The Hague and then get the judgment against the Republic of Ghana. That's essentially in brief is the background to this whole bank switch judgment at saga.
But according to this letter, the Trade Ministry is written to the DICs to help with the payment of the $197 million. Do we know why the DICs will have to take part in the payment of this debt?
I honestly do not know. I mean, you can assume based on the face of the letter that the 197 million cedis is a huge amount of money for the state to dole out at the time when we're already struggling to pay other statutory funds, such as the Disassembly Common Fund, NHIS, etc. And so government doesn't want to get involved in trying to find this money, but it has to, because it's a judgment that we need to pay. And they need to come up with an ingenious means of raising the funds without necessarily burdening the taxpayer directly. And so this, in extent, is a pretty ingenious way of trying to raise the money, and that is why the Trade Ministry has written to the DICs to come up with $35 million in exchange for some preferential treatment, which will allow them to recover their monies over a 5-year period. It's just another way of trying to go about it, especially because we know how judgment debts have become such a huge political matter. So if government is going to find 197 million cedis to pay to a bank switch company at this time, they're going to come under strong criticism. Remember, it was just recently that Justice Apau submitted his report on judgment debts to government, and then this amount comes for them to pay. So government doesn't want to keep this on its books. We need to find ways of getting the money paid without necessarily burdening the taxpayer or using the consolidated funds.
But what exactly do these destination inspection companies do, and why is government soliciting their help? Joy Business editor Emmanuel joined me earlier on News Desk with some response.
So a judgment debt was awarded to Bank Switch. That's a company that was supposed to undertake a certain project, as far as our ports are concerned. And so it was $197 million. And so this is what actually necessitated it, and government has indicated that, well, it's not in a position to carry out this payment, and so it's asked the companies to help. And in this letter that was signed by the Trade Minister, I want to quote. So to quote, it says that to pay this debt, government of Ghana is informing all destination inspection companies that any of them that can advance the government an amount of $35 million would be awarded a contract of 0.35% of free on board, that's FOB values, on all Ghana's imports for at least a period of 5 years to enable the company recover its investments, unquote. Yeah.
So what about the National Single Window Program? What's that about?
Yeah, so government wants to streamline activities at the ports, and it believes that, against the backdrop of the complaints and all that, so it wants to implement a national single window where all activities at the ports will be channeled through this window. And a company has actually been selected for that, and the company's name is West Blue. And so that's basically it. That's supposed to happen from the 1st of September. That means that all the destination inspection companies would have their contracts terminated by August 31st.
Well, now Ghana's investment law, which requires foreign players to bring in at least $1 million before taking a stake in the country's economy, is being challenged. Chairman of Oxford and Beaumont Solicitors, a business facilitator with focus on FDIs, insists the current minimum reserve requirement of foreign investors is rather too high and unattractive and wants it scrapped. Alikam Nutifafa Kwenye here has been speaking to Joy Business after addressing the 15th MTN Business World Executive Meeting.
The MTN Business World meeting focused on how entrepreneurs can play their role in attracting foreign direct investments. The Oxford and Beaumont Solicitors chairman, the main speaker, made it clear Though Ghana remains an attractive destination for investment, the current GIPC Act, which requires proof of huge sums from investors, is a turn-off.
What we're saying is that you're not welcome. If you don't have big money, you're not welcome. It's unrealistic. It's in this day and age where all across the continent, there are economies that are open for people to do business in. Why should the government care what the size of your investment is? If it's not laundered money, if it's you have good intentions, you're willing to support the economy.
And for you, what should the target be? I mean, if it's too much,
it shouldn't matter. I mean,
should be left open.
Yes. If I have $5,000 and I want to invest in Ghana, I should be able to invest $5,000 because with $5,000, do you know the number of businesses you can start with $5,000? In 2000, in my own law firm, my total investment was $5,000. You know, of course, law firms have different financial requirements. Maybe it was another business. I couldn't have got a foreign direct investor to invest in it. I don't think that's a... So forget minimum requirements. I think that you should focus on just encouraging people, period, to come and invest in the economy.
Elikem Nutifafa Kwenye here has also tasked entrepreneurs to build their capacity and take advantage of the opportunities the economic challenges present.
That's what entrepreneurship is about. You create your own structures. You know, the fact that there are inefficiencies in the system is an opportunity for you. So the entrepreneurs who are succeeding are those who are saying, irrespective, I'm going to find people that I can sell a vision to. I'm going to train them the way I want to train. I'm going to invest in them over a longer period, and so on and so forth. So it's not just a case of, I mean, I think that to be fair to successive governments, I think that it's a reasonably attractive place to do business, reasonably attractive place to do, irrespective of all the challenges in the economy. So the rest is up to the local entrepreneurs to sort of say, you know, what sector am I going to? What's my value proposition? How do I chase it?
MTN has meanwhile launched a surveillance solution app as part of its M2M security solutions delivered through the MTN business platform.
Electronics company Philips has introduced the Buy Original campaign to do away with counterfeit products in Ghana and the sub-region at large. The campaign introduces effective measures for consumers to easily identify and verify Philips original consumer appliances and lighting products. According to General Manager for the company, the West Africa chapter of the company, Felix Dako, the cost of counterfeiting to the Ghanaian economy is estimated at around $200 million as at 2009, and the figure, although yet to be established, has shot up in recent times.
What we are offering consumers by choosing an original Philips is a 2-year warranty. If you buy an original Philips product, you have a 2-year warranty, meaning that you have a 2-year peace of mind without any challenge. There are a couple of things you need to look out for in choosing an original Philips. If you take our lamp, we've put a security sticker which has a 16-digit code on that security sticker. What we are telling consumers is test this 16-digit code to a free SMS line, 3110, and you get a confirmation whether you are choosing an original or not an original product. If you take our consumer appliances items also, we've put a hologram sticker on it. Look out for that hologram sticker. If the Philips product you are seeing out there does not carry the hologram sticker, then it's not an authentic Philips product. This message is to protect the consumer, is to ensure that you get value for your money. Beyond getting value for your money, if you choose a fake electronic appliance, it could cause a disaster in your home. It could cause a fire, especially in this time that we have many power outages. If you go to the likes of Palace, you go to Game, you go to ShopRite, they carry Philips. If you go to the retail outlet, the smaller retail outlets in our neighborhoods, they also carry Philips. And in fact, we have a distribution structure which also ensures that the smaller outlets in the neighborhoods are serviced, and they are serviced on a regular basis.
Well, time now for sports with Benedict Owusu. Don't go away. Well, thank you very much for staying on the program. The defeated Ashanti Regional Chairman of the Ghana Journalists Association, Listowel Yusu Bukasin, is in the last NPP primaries has rejected calls by the association to step aside after his defeat. According to Listowel, there is no law that compels him to leave his post as far as the operations of the association is concerned. The association had formally written to him earlier demanding his resignation, but Listowel did not budge. What else can the association do since Listowel is refusing to go? I'm joined over the telephone by GJA President, Afil Morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mike.
Well, thank you very much for joining us here. Now, there seems to be a back and forth for Mr. Bukasson to resign his position as the Ashanti Regional President for the GJA. What options are available to you at the moment?
Indeed, we have been very reluctant and disinclined to make a public spectacle of what options are open to us to deal with this situation. We thought we could handle this in-house because this one is one of us, this has one of us, and he's in the bracket, regional chairperson of the DJ, and besides, I have a personal relationship with him. So we've been avoiding any banter until it got to this stage. And when push gets to a show, sometimes there will be game plan changes. So we are using the new game plan now to invoke our constitutional power to handle this case. And I've heard him, I haven't heard him, but I've told that.
Well, he's made mention of the fact that there is no grounds for him to vacate his position. The charter of GJA does not say anything about an executive member contesting any position.
He's entitled to his own opinion, but Muyan once said everybody is entitled to his own opinion, but not his own fact.
But Mr. Money, does it?
Everybody is entitled to his or her own opinion, but not his own fact. And the fact is encapsulated in Article 25 of our Constitution. It says that anyone who opts for any political position, who stands for any political position, who automatically forfeits his GJ position, or anyone who acts or conducts himself in such a way which will be prejudicial to the interest of the association, who also have to give way. So,
Mr. Mani, I'm going to have you host the line. Listowel has joined our conversation. Mr. Bukasson, good afternoon.
I don't think there's a need for us to need for any public banter on this issue. And we're going to issue a statement today, and so that's cool.
But just 1 second for me. Let me engage. Let me engage Listowel, because I think, Mr. Money, 1 second. Just hold it for me. But thank you very much for joining us here, Mr. Bukasson.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And so if you were listening to the conversation, Mr. Money has given you what you were looking for. He says that indeed there is an article in the Constitution that establishes the GJA, that if you sought political office, you resigned as an executive, you resigned your position in the GJA. Does it change anything for you?
Well, I heard portions of what he's been saying. He's trying to quote Article 25, and I think the interpretation of Article 25 by Mr. Money is not right, it's not appropriate. It doesn't state that if anybody identified himself or herself with any political party, the person ought to resign if he held any executive position in the GJA. What I remember, because I don't have the document with me, is that it says that if anybody took up a political position, then the person did not or does not qualify to hold an executive position. And here am I, I'm not an appointee of any political party. And so I think that the interpretation must be crystal, it must be spelled as well. And it's unfortunate the manner in which the GJA, I think, is gone about the whole saga.
Now, if the people you lead say that, well, the fact that you sought political office and didn't win the office is enough for us to say, well, just step aside for us. Let's find someone else to fill the office. Why wouldn't you just do that?
Well, yeah, that is not even a problem. I mean, that is not a problem. But you must understand that it's all about image. It's all about reputation. It's all about being pragmatic regarding how this should be resolved. I remember in detail how many times I discussed this issue with Mr. Money regarding how we're going to be going about it, because I know, as we speak, that the constitution of the GJA is on our side. And we can only be
but then again, the people say that we do not want you. Is that not enough for you to step aside? Well, we'll continue this conversation in subsequent broadcasts. I think we lost Listowell there. Our top stories this are Kolebu junior doctors on strike to protest non-payment of allowances. Management is locked up in a meeting to come to a compromise with these doctors. Director of Pharmacy and 3 others at the nation's premier health facility have been sacked with immediate effect. Meanwhile, trainee nurses to undergo 2 weeks internal suspension for insubordination after batting them